Hi folks, and welcome back to the channel. So we're going to be doing a franchise ranking again. For this one, this time we're going to be ranking the Halloween franchise. So a little caveat for this one. I was a latecomer to the Halloween franchise. I've told this story before. I told it a couple of times in the franchise wars that I did. The first Halloween movie that I saw was Halloween 3. So, 1985-ish, somewhere in that area, I was really getting into horror movies. I had seen the first two Friday the 13th. I had seen the first Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a few other things. But friends of mine at school kept telling me that if you like these other movies, you got to check out Halloween. So I went to the video place and I rented the newest Halloween movie expecting a great entry in a great franchise. I didn't go in expecting to see Michael Myers. I didn't go in expecting a slasher. I went in expecting the best of it because I had already seen like Night of the Living Dead and you know, other things along the lines that weren't just slashers. So, and I enjoyed them as well. I was expecting a franchise based around Halloween and it to be so much better than what I had already seen. And I was thoroughly disappointed. Halloween 3, at that time for me, I did not enjoy it. And it put me right off the first two Halloween movies because I just thought that if all these people like this, I'll just stick with the Fridays. So by the time Halloween 4 rolled around, yeah, I did know that Halloween 3 was its own thing. That Halloween 1 and 2 had Michael Myers in it, and that it was a slasher, and that it was the one that kicked off the craze. So we were, friends of mine at the time were going to go see Halloween 4 in the theater. I was going with them. I figured I better watch the first two, considering this was going back to Michael Myers. So I went and watched the first two. So I didn't see them until, what, 89, 90? Whatever it was that Halloween 4 came out. So, yeah, they're not nearly as big to me. They're not nearly as important or as influential to me as they are to other people. They didn't form my the picture in my mind of what a slasher is and what it should be. So, if you have an issue with this ranking, I don't apologize. This is what I like. This is the way I like them, and this is the way that I rank them. So let's go ahead and get into it now that we've covered the backstory on it. So number 11. Yep. I have watched this movie 10 times since I first saw it, and I still don't like it. It's confused. It doesn't know what it wants to be. The pacing on it is atrocious. Tom Atkins is good, but he can't save this movie. It doesn't know if it wants to be supernatural or if it wants to be sci-fi. The tone in it is off. There's a thing called time zones. Look into it. It does, like I said, it just doesn't make sense. It's dumb, and I don't enjoy it. And if you want to hear me rant even more about it, go check out the Franchise Wars, where I did part 3s. So let's move on to number 10. So number 10 on my list is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I don't get it. I don't like what they did with the returning characters. The only one that I really liked was, well, I liked the sheriff. I liked Sheriff Brackett in it, but I liked Annie. I did not care at all for, and I don't like the new kid that they brought in to play young Michael. I don't like what they did with Roddy McDowall's character. I didn't like what they did with Taylor Compton, Scout, something, whatever the fuck her name is. I didn't like what they did with her version of, of that. I did not enjoy it. And of course the White Horse thing, and I don't give two shits about whether he talks or whether he doesn't. That means absolutely nothing to me. It's not like he sat down and gave, the St. Crispin's Day speech. He said die. It's not that big a deal. Get over it. I do like the fact that Rob Zombie made a sequel to his Halloween and didn't try to remake the original Halloween 2. I like that Captain Clegg album. That was cool as fuck. Oh darn, there went my PG-13 rating for this video. Oh well. So yeah, I really don't enjoy this movie. I think pacing in it is poor. The kills are good. Danielle Harris is great as Annie. And Sheriff Brackett, I enjoy. I really liked the fatherly tone that he took with both of the girls, but it was kind of cool to see Howard Hessman in a movie. But other than that, yeah, this movie's at the bottom of my list. If you enjoy it, if you're one of the people who's come around to this one, more power to you, because I can't stand it. So number 9, probably the bottom of most people's lists. Number 9 for me is, of course, Resurrection. This is one of those that I'm extremely disappointed in. There's a good movie in there somewhere for its time. It's dated now, but the body cams and the reality TV aspect of it's very dated. Now it will be much more of a parody of that sort of crap. The Busta Rhymes character, I have no problem with him until the end of it. The other part of it, his character, the fact that Michael walked away from him instead of just absolutely messing him up, no, that's not in that character's, not the way that character would have reacted. No, you lose me on that one. I don't mind him going off on the character. I don't even mind him, throwing some punches at him and bettering him to a point on that. But at the same time, he should have fucked him up for it. Oops, there goes my PG-13 rating again. So yeah, Resurrection is an idea on paper that could have worked, but the execution was absolutely crap. And this movie's number 9 on my list. So number 8 on my list is Halloween 6. The Curse of Michael Myers. The end of the Thorn trilogy. Yeah. I've seen the original cut. I've seen the producer's cut. And yeah, I like the producer's cut a little bit better. It makes a little bit more sense in places. But yeah, it's bad all the way through. Both endings to it are kind of dumb. I've talked before about the Dark Shadows connection, which I find amusing. If you don't know, Mitchell Ryan was in a soap opera back in the 60s called Dark Shadows. One of the characters in Dark Shadows was named Loomis, which was, of course, a tribute to the Loomis character from Psycho, which, of course, Donald Pleasance's character as Loomis is also a tribute to Psycho. It's a thin thread, but it's still kind of a cool one to me because so many people don't even catch that. Or care about that, I guess. But anyway, but I love the original Dark Shadows TV series. The movie sucked ass, but I love the TV series. I mean, yeah, Halloween 6 is a mess from start to finish. It's I like the idea of bringing back Tommy Doyle and having him obsessed with the Michael Myers, but other than that, no. The Thorn trilogy for me is not very good, except for the one that you'll see much higher up the list. So, yeah. So number 7 on my list is Halloween 2019. I thought this was okay when I first saw it, but after watching it a second time, it really I didn't like Sartain in it. I liked the way that Michael Myers was kind of amped up some. And y'all can hate me for saying it, but I think they took a few cues from Rob Zombie's version of Michael Myers and amped him up some. Which that part I liked. Pretty decent kills in it. Jamie Lee Curtis, honey, I think you're done. You were great in the first two. You were good in H2O, but this one... And the fact that they made this a sequel to the first one and not a sequel to the second one, the timeline's all jacked up. Again, there's more time loops in this one than there is in a Star Trek series. But I didn't care much for it. I thought it was a little bit too 2019 in a lot of ways. The originals play up the certain elements of it. They play up the powerful women, the self-reliance, all of that stuff very well. And this one is one of those movies that, when you boil it down to it, it's one of those movies that can't get its message across because its agenda's in the way. And I didn't really notice that so much on the first watch, but since then I've watched it twice more, and that's probably the last I'll watch it, really. And that's one of the main reasons behind it. It just can't get out of its own way. So part 6, or number 6 for me, is part 5. This movie's got some issues, but okay, the cops thing is annoying. Killing off the survivor from the last one, the way that they did, very unceremoniously and very, I don't know, something wasn't quite right with that kill. And replacing her with a much more annoying character. Although I don't hate on her the way that everyone else does, because in the end, she did sacrifice herself. She did do everything that she could do to protect Jamie. But I just think that this one overall has some issues. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Moving on to number 5 on my countdown. This is where we go from the... number 7 down are ones that I don't really enjoy at all. I can enjoy the last one, even though I don't think it's a good movie. But from here on out, they're good movies, and I enjoy them. So number 5 for me is H2O. Yeah, it's a little post-Scream. Yeah, it wants too hard to be that kind of movie. But I like the Halloween take on the Scream idea. Not super crazy about Josh Hartnett. I like LL Cool J as an actor, but I don't think that... I think some of the sequences were kind of weak with him. Trying to make him more realistic and less stereotype, I think they dumbed down the character in the beginning. Which kind of annoys me. I don't hate it, but it's annoying. But I do enjoy Alan Arkin's performance. I think that this is probably... Jamie Lee Curtis's, I don't know, something wasn't quite right with that kill. Very unceremoniously and very, I don't know, something wasn't quite right with that kill. Very unceremoniously and very, I don't know, something wasn't quite right with that kill. Very unceremoniously and very, I don't know, something wasn't quite right with that kill. Very unceremoniously and very, I don't know, something wasn't quite right with that kill. Very unceremoniously and very, I don't know, something wasn't quite right with that kill. Very unceremoniously and very, I don't know, something wasn't quite right with that kill. Very unceremoniously and very, I don't know, something wasn't quite right with that kill. Very unceremoniously and very, I don't know, something wasn't quite right with that kill. Very unceremoniously and very, I don't know, something wasn't quite right with that kill. Very unceremoniously and very, I don't know, something wasn't quite right with that kill. Very unceremoniously and very, I don't know, something wasn't quite right with that kill. Very unceremoniously and very, I don't know, something wasn It's absolutely her best performance in this series, other than part one. There are a lot of things in this one that I like. I liked the confined setting of it, putting it inside the school like that. I liked the limited amount of targets that they were given and the reason why. One of my major complaints about the first one is the fact that there's an awful lot of people around, and if he's just someone who's going to kill randomly, he missed an awful lot of opportunities. But in this one, you have a very confined, a finite amount of people in a very confined space. And I think that they did quite a good job with it for the most part. It's very reminiscent of its era, but in this case, it's not really necessarily a bad thing because I like that era of movies to a point. It's not my favorite, but to a point, I do enjoy that era of movies, and this really sums that era up and does it well. So number 4 on my list, and this one's going to be probably the most controversial placement on here since other than probably my number 11, Rob Zombie's Halloween. I enjoy this movie for what it is. If you take out that first act or cut it up into small pieces and worked it in different places, but that whole sequence at the beginning of it, before he gets locked up, before the murder, I don't enjoy that at all. But what I do enjoy is from there on out. The scenes in the asylum, the one-on-one time with Loomis and Michael are really good. I really enjoy those. I really enjoyed that little glimpse into his mind. I know it pissed people off because once he did, Michael never spoke after he killed his sister. And in this one he does. He denies doing it. He doesn't know whether or not he did it. Excuse me. Or claims to, or, whatever. When he asks his mother, how's everybody at home? All of that stuff from there on is good. I enjoy that. The escape, well, he had to escape some way. Neither one of the escapes are great, but he had to escape some way, so he escaped. And then they took what the original did, condensed it down, excuse me, condensed it down and concentrated it into its bare essence, and amped up the brutality, amped up the interactions, and probably the most intimidating Michael of the entire franchise. And I don't care who doesn't like Tyler Mane in this role. I did. I thought that he was great. I thought the size and the look of the Michael character was good, and actually scary for a change. That's what it's supposed to be. Every man. Fuck that. Oops, there goes my PG-13 rating. I hate that. Anyway, I want my bad guys to be bad guys. I don't want them to be watered down. So, for me, I enjoy the last act of this movie a lot. This movie is killed by the first act. It redeems itself in the second act. And man, I like it from there on out. Once the escape happens and the amperage gets turned up to 11 on this one, it's an all-out great movie for me. Alright, so number 3 on my list is the original Halloween 2. I enjoyed this movie. It took what the first one did and it added to it and it layered to it nicely. Jamie Lee Curtis does a good job. It's not her best performance, but I think she does a really good job in it. The wig's a bit odd. I love the fact that they amped up the kills and showed what this version of Michael could do. I mean, it's very dated, the hospital whites kind of thing, but, And all in all, this one to me is a really enjoyable watch. I love the fact that it happens directly after the original. Did cause some problems. Like I said, the wig's pretty bad in places. But you know, the nurse that's in it, the two paramedic guys, I enjoy both of them. The comedy in this one, the lighter moments in this one work. The serious moments in this one work. And that ending, is great. The reveal in this one that Michael and Jamie are sisters, or brother and sister. I like that, and I don't care who doesn't. I like that. Donald Pleasance is on point as always, but in this one the intensity is there, and he's still somewhat sane, which is something that he kind of loses through the Thorn trilogy to me. So yeah, overall I enjoyed this movie. So number 2 on my list is Halloween 4. Probably because I saw it in the theater. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. Danielle Harris is great in it. The girl that plays her sister, her adoptive, foster sister, is great. I really like her character. I really like the way that she's portrayed, the way that she's written. I love the way that they bond together, and you lose that prefix on it and they become sisters, which is one of the reasons why the way she was killed in part 5 pisses me off. The return of Dr. Loomis with some sanity still, even though 5 and 6 he really fades on that in places. Well, in some places it's like they could make up their, but we'll talk, 5 and 6 we've already talked about. This one is quite good. There's really, honestly, this is probably the one that I would pop in the most and enjoy the most. So yeah, that's my number 2 on the list. I guess you know what number 1 is. So yeah, despite all the problems that I have with it, I have to recognize number 1 as the one that kicked off the franchise and really set the standard. For what it did. Me personally, I think it's too slow. I think it feels more dated than it actually is. For me, it feels like something that should have came out in the early 70s and not the late 70s. Jamie Lee Curtis is really good. PJ Souls is really good. The average, everyday, could be anybody in a mask part I don't really enjoy. I love Donald Pleasance in this. I think he's great in this one. I do wish he had more time with Lori and less with just the sheriff, but I like the sheriff. I like, I don't remember the actress's name, sorry, but the Annie character, I enjoyed her. It's pretty interesting that, this was shot in California, but it has it does capture kind of that Midwest feel. That's one of the problems that I have with it. If you watch my franchise wars, I go into much more detail about the problems that I have with it, but the score to it is, of course, iconic, and it is that way for a reason. And as much as this is not my favorite franchise, I definitely have to give them points for that. The menace that comes through, the atmosphere that comes through, it feels like fall. It feels like, like there's someone out there. The acting from most of the side, from the kids and others around them, other than of course, the main actors in it, is passable. Some places it's a little rough, but it's passable. So, yeah, my number 1 in this franchise is going to be the original. But it's damn close between the original and part 4, and I probably watched part 4 more than I did the original. I just think the original is a better movie. and giving it its full due, I have to put it at number 1, but only by a little bit. So I want to thank you all for sticking around for this video. I know it got kind of long and kind of rushed at the end because it's gotten long. Yeah. So if you didn't know, I have a 200 subscriber, on the road to 200 subscribers giveaway going. This prize package here, plus there'll be more. If you don't know about it, there's a video. I will link it up above. And as always, links for advocacy, links for personal links, Teespring. If you'd like to get your own version of this shirt or the Full Moon shirt. There's also Amazon link, Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, all of that stuff. Personal links are there if you want to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxed. And as I always say, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for subscribing. And y'all be good, y'all be safe, and y'all have a good one.